Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste and welcome to part 2 of this song Mudadi Bhajisuvevu Deva Devane. It's a Kannada bhajan that my father Satguru Sant Keshavadasji wrote a long time ago. It's one of his classics. It's the very first bhajan sung by the Bhajan Mandali in India, and they go through it fast. And it is the very first recommended song because it's the path of devotion. Let me talk about this for a second. Krishna in Bhagavad Gita talks about the three main paths. There are many that he talks about, but the three main are picked out. One is called Jnana Yoga, the second is called Karma Yoga, and the third is called Bhakti Yoga. This song talks about Bhakti Yoga, which I'll get back to in a minute. But the path of Jnana is someone who can think in abstract terms, who asks the big questions about why are we here? Is there God? What is the purpose of life? Is there a difference between God and the soul? And is there a way to understand God? Okay, why is all this here? Where do we go after death? All those things are something that is inside of something called Jnana Yoga. That is to say, intellectualizing, trying to understand, trying to analyze, and then finally conclude on certain answers. All those things are appropriate. Hinduism and our culture expects people to ask those types of questions. But when they do, that person is known as a Jnana Yogi. In other words, the path of yoga is called Jnana. Krishna recommends that for certain people with certain propensities, certain mindset, to go after that, and it's encouraged. The second one is called Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is where a person who has the propensity to serve, humanity, serve God through humanity. So puja falls under that because it's a form of service where they're praying for not only themselves but all of humanity and all of creation. So selfless service, altruistic service to humanity and seeing God and serving God through humanity is called Karma Yoga. Karma in this context means to do, not karma as in cause and effect. Do you understand? Karma means to do, or kriya, you want to think of it that way, to do. So Karma Yoga is for somebody who wants to serve. So a good example would be Mother Teresa, who did altruistic or selfless service. The other one is Gandhi from India, where he did his own form of service completely selflessly and following that path, Karma Yoga. And the third one, which we are going to talk about today, this song is all about Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is the path of devotion. In this particular yoga, the devotee is not concerned about analyzing anything, about what is the purpose of soul and God, why are we here, what's the purpose of life, how was all of this created, any of those kinds of intellectual exercises, this Bhakti Yogi is not concerned about. They're not concerned particularly, although they do Karma Yoga, they're not focused on doing selfless service and seeing God through that. That's not the idea here. The Bhakti Yogi is only focused on God and seeing God all the time and having God ever present in their lives, in their heart. And by seeing God all the time, if you think about it, they see God in everything. So that's how Karma Yoga becomes part of Bhakti Yoga. I hope you understand that point. So here, this song is all about the attitude, the devotion, the flow, the thinking of a Bhakti Yogi, not these other two yogas that I talked about, Bhakti Yogi, So just listen to the words and track along on how does a Bhakti Yogi pray to God. What do they pray for? So this is the song about that. Mudadi Bhajisuvevu Deva Devane Hridaya Kamala Dolu Vodagu Pavanane. What that says is, with great devotion and love in my heart, or in our heart, we praise you, O Supreme Lord. Deva Devane means, O God of gods, or Supreme Lord. So be always present in my heart. Okay? In our tradition, we have this 7 chakras, right? 7 chakras, which are basically thought of as lotuses of varying petals. So heart chakra is 8-petal lotus. So always be in that 8-petal lotus, Hrit Kamala. Always be present and attainable. That's what this is saying. In other words, you can see that the devotion is already flowing. Kangalu ninnaya murtiya kanali, kivigalu ninnaya ಕೀರ್ತಿಯ ಕೇಳಲಿ, ಜಿಹ್ವೆಯು ನಿನ್ನಯ ನಾಮವ ಹೇಳಲಿ, ಕರಗಳೆರಡು ನಿನ್ನ ಪೂಜಿಸಲಿ ಹರಿ. What that means is, may my eyes, with your grace, may my eyes always behold your holy presence, your form. And may my ears only hear about your glory and nothing else. So what the devotee is basically saying is, let me not engage in silly worldly gossip, understanding, looking at things that are impermanent, looking at useless things, and talking about people, comparing myself to everybody. Let me not engage in any of those things. Let my ears only hear your praises. Let me see you all the time, which means let me see God in everything all the time. And then the third line, Jivheyu ninnaya namava helali. May my tongue only engage in praising you, O Lord, in your holy name. The key concept here is, neither my tongue should be engaged or mind should be engaged in gossiping, talking about other people, or any of these things, because we invite these 6 internal snakes to bite us. Okay, a snake is a metaphor, obviously, but the 6 snakes that really disturb our peace and take us off our track are as follows. They're called Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, and Matsara. 6 internal snakes, poison. What is that? Kama means lust. Krodha means anger. Lobha means greed. Moha means attachment. Mada means arrogance. And Matsara is jealousy. Let me take some time to explain why these are so poisonous. Kama is lust. Okay? If you have lustful thoughts all the time, how can you be peaceful? You're always wanting, right? It can never be satisfied. You're always wanting. And you're always thinking about lustful thoughts. You cannot be purposeful in life. You cannot get any sort of satisfaction or contentment that lasts any reasonable length of time. So you have to get rid of that. And so the second one has to do with Krodha. Krodha means anger. Anger, as you know, is the counter opposite to peace, right? If you're not peaceful, right, how can you be satisfied? How can you be content with life? So anger is totally poisonous. So here's the things that we've heard so many times. That is to say, if you're angry, let it go. Calm down, let it go. And if somebody has done something wrong to you, at least from your perception, they don't see it that way, but you do. Let it go, forgive, forget, and move on. Don't be angry. Let it go. Because it's poisonous. It doesn't do us any favors. Then the next item is lobha. This is greed. We don't think normally of this lobha as something that's bad. Economics teaches us that greed is good, right? It works at a worldly level, but if you think about it in terms of contentment, satisfaction, peace, and all that, some level of lobha is probably okay to fulfill your responsibilities to your family and all that. But greed, okay, with probably a big G, is not a good thing. Big lobha. That is to say, you have to accumulate things, more and more and more and more things, sometimes at the cost of everybody else, with no purpose or no end goal. You just make it a game to keep on accumulating more and more and more. And that kind of lobha obviously takes you off of the track of being satisfied or happy. Why? Because again, you're wanting more and more. There is no end goal. There is no satisfaction. So that's why it's not a good thing. And then moha is attachment. This is a little different. You're attaching yourself to your things, your lifestyle, your activities, your family members, your friends, and all these types of things. In other words, your little cottage industry that you created, your context, your lifestyle, you're attached to that. And what Vedas teaches us and experience teaches us is things change. If you're attaching yourself to things that change, you will be not satisfied. You will be angry. You will be disappointed. So what the Vedas teaches us is have appropriate attachments, but not over attachment. Otherwise, you will be broken. So that's the problem with moha. And then mada is arrogance. Many of us accomplish many things through hard work, sometimes through inheritance, and we are arrogant about it. We talk down to people, and we feel like we are better than the next guy. And that level of arrogance is not necessary because that changes. Okay, if you think you're a big sports star, you're fit and healthy and all that, that status will change. There's no need for that kind of arrogance. If you think you're a wealthy person, that status will change. Why? Because anything can happen. We have more things out of our control than we do have in our control. So arrogance is not a good thing. A lot of times we have arrogance when we have things, and then we are the lowest of the low person when we don't have it. Everybody is your friend because you have needs. That should not be the case. You should have no arrogance. Have an even keel. Don't identify yourself with things that you have or how fit you are or the abilities of music or sports or thinking or intellectual prowess or whatever have you. Arrogance is not good because anything can change and it will change, and that will bring you down in a hurry. Okay? So you have the statement, the bigger you are, the harder you fall. Make sure that at whatever level you are, don't have the arrogance, otherwise you will have a hard fall. And that will break you. So you should not be broken. You should have an even keel. So mada is the other kind of poison. And finally, the sixth poison is called, or the snake bite is called matsara. This is a sneaky one because this means jealousy. Jealousy in our tradition is equivalent to internal fire, the bad kind, not the fire of inspiration, but a poisonous fire that burns you from inside. You look at other people in the days of social media, you look at other people posting good things, you feel jealous, you feel bad. You look at somebody else's lifestyle, you feel jealous. This level of jealousy is a matter of comparing yourself and your lifestyle, your kids, to other people and what they're doing. That comparison must go because it is very, very damaging to you from the inside. And there's not much you can do about it until you make all these six things, six poisons of lust, anger, greed, attachment, arrogance, and jealousy reduced. You cannot conquer it completely. You reduce it and you work on it. So that's why these are considered as six internal snakes, and they're poisonous to our mind, to our body and to our general well-being. More importantly, if you think about it, it doesn't allow us to concentrate on our own purpose, our own path, because we are constantly make decisions based on what other people are doing or where we are in our status and so on. That should not be the case. Define your own path, and that's the message of this. So, long story, but hidden message inside of this. Jiv heyu ninnaya namava helali. If we concentrate on the glories and names of God, our mind and tongue, they're engaged in things other than concentrating on these 6 enemies. And so that's very important. And then finally, Karagaleradu ninna pujisali hari. May both my hands be used in doing puja to you. That is to say, worship you and service, right? Selfless service to humanity, altruistic service, and seeing God or seeing you in everything, O God. That's what that means. And then the next stanza, Padadvayavu tirthayatreya madali sadhu sajjanarige shira umaniyali. Again, remember, we are on the bhakti track. What that says is, may both my feet be used to go to holy pilgrimage sites. Well, in our tradition, why go to pilgrimage sites? Because saints such as Tulsi Das or Kabir Das or Mirabai or Sant Tukaram, Namadev, Purandar Dasa, Kanaka Dasa, all these, the endless list of saints, they have seen God in these pilgrimage centers where there are holy temples. They have interacted with God, and they have brought out God's force, and people have seen miracles in those places and with deep impact into their own lives. So pilgrimage centers are huge in India and in other parts of the world, of course. But the devotee is always wishing to go to those holy sites where other saints, other bhaktas have seen God, where they wish to see God as well. And when they go there, usually they will find sadhus or sajjanas, that is to say, saints, spiritual masters, and when I see them, may I bow humbly to them, earn their grace, because they are higher souls, they have seen higher things. May them be compassionate to me so that I can also perceive higher things. May I see God through their grace. Mudadi karatadanadi bhajane gaidu badarayana nuta dehave beelali. Very deep concept. And what that says is, may I constantly sing and clap as I'm singing your praises, and may my body fall in your service. As I'm singing your glories, may my body fall. Well, that seems weird probably to many people to pray for something like that. But the concept behind has to do with something that's described in our scriptures called Navavida Bhakti. Navavida Bhakti is the 9 modes of devotion. I don't have time to get through all those things here, but ultimately what it means is, there are really 2 meanings. One is, as I am seeing you, O God, okay, may my body fall in that state. Well, it turns out that when a bhakta or a devotee sees God and feels the presence of God everywhere, they no longer have the sense of individuality or ego or identity. They end up having an out-of-body trance-like experience, and they don't have any sense of balance or anything. I've seen this many times. My father, Satguru Sant Keshavadasji, has fallen from out-of-body experiences as he's perceiving God, and has hit his head on many different surfaces. And so it was a common practice for 2 or 3 people to stand behind him to hold him if he falls. because there's a lot of bleeding that he doesn't even realize that he fell in that trance. So this is a form of bhakti that's extreme, where when you perceive God, you no longer have a sense of self, and the body falls, and you have no idea that it has fallen for that period of time. So the devotee, the bhakta, actually craves for that trance-like state where they're perceiving and seeing God in everything, and that's all they see. So the sense of identity is totally gone. No ego, no sense of body, no sense of balance, therefore, right? They can only see God. So in this phrase, Sant Keshavadasji is saying, Badarayana nuta dehave bidali. So as I see you there and sing your glories, may I perceive you, may I see you, and lose the sense of self. May I merge into you. So that's one very deep meaning. I've seen it in practice, and it's very impactful. The second meaning of that is for the fellow who is doing selfless service. Okay, what that says is, may my body fall as I am serving humanity, as I am seeing you in humanity. So in other words, may I serve all my life, and may my body be sacrificed as I am doing that. Okay, that's the prayer. As again, these are very deep concepts in the track of Bhakti Yoga. Last stanza, Dasana guva bhagya karuni so devane. Dasa dasara seve doreyali swami. What this says is, it's going to the point of, may I be your servant. Okay, God, compassionately bestow this one privilege on me of being your servant. Okay, this reminds me of a story that my father used to tell us of a Ramayana instance where Rama and Lakshmana are walking through the forest in search of Sita. At that time, they enter into Sugriva's territory. And Sugriva wants to know who these two people are, right? They are full of light, they're shining, they're brilliant, and they are very different to anybody who walks through their territory in the forest. So Sugriva was impressed, and he sends his emissary, Hanuman, to go find out who these two strangers are. At that time, Hanuman comes disguised as a Vatu or a Brahmana, not in his normal Vanara form. He comes disguised, and they introduce themselves. And when Rama asks Hanuman, who are you? Hanuman doesn't say, I'm Hanuman, I'm a minister to Sugriva, I'm such and such status and all that. He doesn't say any of that. He says, I'm a dasa. So he says, the actual phrase is, Dasoham Kosalendrasya. This is in Valmiki Ramayana. What that means is, I am the servant of Rama, or the Indra of Kosala, right? So that's a very impressive thing. What that says is, the highest thing for a devotee or the bhakta is to be a dasa, or a servant of God. There's nothing greater for a bhakti yogi, and they're not asking for, let me understand your God, or let me be part of your God, or let my soul merge into you. None of those things. They want to be a servant of God. End of story. In fact, the next line, Dasa dasara seve doreyali swami, says, may I be the servant of your servant. Okay, in other words, may I be the least. In other words, I don't want any arrogance associated with any of these things. I'm satisfied by truly serving you, O God. Okay, and that is in order to get such a grace of God. Okay, they know, bhaktas know, that to attain the grace of God, God needs to be pleased. Okay, they need to know that God is pleased with them. So they purify themselves and rid themselves of any arrogance associated with status with understanding and all these things. They just want to be the humblest possible servant of God. That's because they know the glory and the grandeur of God in all of creation. They know that God is uh, beyond whatever they can perceive, and they realize their place of being almost nothing compared to that Almighty. That's what they're wishing for. And then finally, भासुरांग तव कोटि सूर्य प्रभ हासवदन तोरो दास Keshavanut. What that means is, Bhasura means someone who shines brilliantly. So, in this line, God who shines brilliantly with the force of 1,000,000 suns. Yogis, rishis, that is to say, sages who have meditated upon God, and saints who have seen God, they all have a common description of what it is that they've seen. That is, whatever perception of God that they have, they always describe it as shining like a brilliant millions of suns. Okay? So you start to wonder, how can the physical eyes see God who's that brilliant? We can't even see our normal sun with our naked eyes. How is it that it's possible? And the answer is, they're not looking at God with our physical eyes. They're looking at it from the metaphoric third eye, which allows them to perceive God who is that brilliant without any discomfort. They're allowed to see God in such force through the third eye. And then finally, Hasavadana Toro Das Keshavanut. So the Bhakti Yogi wants to know that God is happy with them, God is pleased, and that God will be with them throughout their life. And so what they want to see is the glorious smiling face of God all throughout. When they close their eyes, when they open their eyes, they just want to know that God is happy with them. They want to see God's smiling face. That's the only thing that gives them full satisfaction and peace, joy, inspiration, and purpose. That is the mark of a Bhakti Yogi. Okay? It doesn't describe these other yogas because that's for different types of mindsets and different people. But if you're wondering what is the mark of a Bhakti Yogi, this song, I think, describes a great deal of key concepts. I hope you got a lot out of this song and the points I've tried to make here. And let me know if you have any questions or comments. Thank you very much for joining me again. Namaste. Om Shanti 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 Hari